It's Mornings with Rebecca and Burns Overtime Show, and sitting in for Rebecca today is our very own best producer in the world, Jay Allen. And you can tell our special guest today is Danny Gokey. Danny, thanks for joining us today.
What's up, y'all? Glad to be with you.
Man, it's an honor, privilege to have you on the show with us. I know you're an extremely busy guy. And how many kids do you have now?
We have 4.
What's this summer been like with the kids?
Well, I've seen my kids more than ever before this year, and it's been nice. They're beautiful. A lot of work. We've had this house that we're in for 2 years, and we finally just fixed our pool. So there's been a lot of swimming.
I bet everybody's looking nice and tan.
Yeah, and I'm over here looking like a tomato. My kids are half Hispanic, so all the Hispanic is coming out, and I'm over here turning red. I'm like, man, I went in the pool last night. I have some friends in town right now. I went in our pool last night at 5 p.m. or 5:30, and I came out red. And I'm like, is the moon giving me a tan? What's going on?
Hey, welcome to getting older, buddy, when it's not very hard to get sunburned. That is for sure.
Sucks.
Hey, so how do you say your wife's name?
Take a guess. I want to see you try first, then I'll let you know. I got to hear this.
Luciette?
Layset. There you go. Layset.
I'm right.
Layset?
Layset.
Layset.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I knew I'd get it wrong, but I had to take a shot. So.
No, I love it. I just like to see how people. Taylor, is that your first time? You nailed it.
I honestly, I've seen her name before. I've never pronounced it. So Leah Chet was my first guess.
So when we got married, I guess the first time I met her, and I saw her name because we met over social media, and I just said, "How do you say her name?" I said, "Is it Layset?" And she was like, "Yeah." I mean, I got to be honest. I felt like that was a good first impression because nobody gets her name right. Nobody.
So I know you're from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Milwaukee is about as far away from Hispanic culture and the Spanish language as you can get. Is it completely your wife and her family that you got pretty fluent in Spanish?
No, believe it or not, Milwaukee has a huge Spanish population.
Really?
Ooh.
When it comes to different languages or different cultures, actually in Milwaukee proper, or Milwaukee the city, there are more culture than there is if you say white culture, which I love diversity. I mean, they have full chains of Spanish grocery stores. They have every type of restaurant you could. When I came to Nashville, that was the first time I was like, oh my goodness, I've entered into a one culture. Sorry guys, I just got someone tried to call me. I ended up, I was like, whoa, there's no culture here. So in Milwaukee, there's tons of culture because we're about an hour from Chicago. So there's a lot of traffic that goes back and forth.
Yeah, I used to live in Door County for a few years, so pretty familiar going down to Milwaukee if we had to fly anywhere. So got to drive around and know that place fairly well. So it's your wife and her family that helped you with the Spanish music, or is that more?
Well, so I learned Spanish because my first wife was Puerto Rican. She's in heaven now. Okay. But I started learning Spanish because I had a desire to learn then. Now my in-laws, so the house I'm at, this is actually all on my property. This is my in-laws live with me, so I'm sitting on their porch. But we live on 24 acres, and this is their little home they have here. I'll show you guys. We live. They just got here anyways, but we live right over here. That's our property over there.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. So we, the best of both. Whoops. I thought I flipped this around. I thought I hit it. And
there you are. So I'm sure, being a grandparent myself, I'm sure the grandparents love being that close to the grandkids.
Yes.
They do. They help us with our kids. When I was traveling, it's a blessing to have them here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm blessed to have my in-laws here. It was my father-in-law's birthday yesterday. They're actually walking up. They just got home, my in-laws. Because, we can leave out of town, and they'll watch the kids. Me and my wife can go on a date. They'll watch the kids. And, yeah. And so they're actually getting ready to walk up. They just cute. I think he turned 73 yesterday or something like that, and he's super strong. The guy's he's not slowing down any moment.
Now watch, he's going to come up and tell you to get off his porch.
Yeah, they're super nice. I'll introduce them to you guys.
All right.
Mira,
that'd be
yo
cool.
estoy en una entrevista, pero estoy hablando de ustedes. Yo quiero que ustedes conocen. Ese estacionamiento this is my wife's father, mi suegro. And this is mi suegra. This is my. And so yeah. Anyway, they just got home. Cumpleaños. Oh,
Hold
no, no está bien aquí. Gracias. Sorry about that, guys. I know that's probably unprofessional, but hey, this is life.
No, man.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
This is pretty informal, so that's awesome right there, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you go from being a truck driver and a worship pastor into being into Christian music? And I know that it's a long journey, but if you could make it shorten it down, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do that. You know, I was a worship leader at my church. It was 2 locations, and they didn't pay very well. They couldn't pay enough, but I knew God called me to it, so I took a full-time semi-truck driving job. That was a local run. I did local runs, nothing long. So I started every morning, got home every night. And I remember when I was 27, I was sitting in my truck getting unloaded, and I thought I missed it. I said, God, I feel like I missed it. I know you told me to sing, and because I really felt the Lord say, hey, put down my desire to build my career and just serve this local church. And I was happy to do it. I was like, absolutely, I'll serve this local church. And then I thought I just missed my opportunity. And so at 27, I just said, God, I guess I missed it. I'll always do music because I love it. But I just started taking different pathways. And then, but it was that same year I started watching American Idol. And all of a sudden, it was my first wife. She watched it because I would always be at church at night practicing or doing a service. So she'd be home a lot after work. And we got DVR. We started recording American Idol. And I just got so into it, I decided I was going to check it out the next year. And 1 month before my audition, my wife unexpectedly passed away. But my life, I literally thought I lost my dream to do music, my wife. And I was like, man, what's next? And that's actually in that breaking point, God in his kindness and in his grace gave me something to live for again,
Wow. Where did you audition?
Kansas City was the closest place I could audition. So
that's
Milwaukee,
that's
about
not
an
close.
8.5 hour drive. Yeah. 8.5 hour drive.
So you make it to the end of the season. You don't win, but you come really, really close. So then how did you get into Christian music, get into that part of the industry?
It's interesting because, I was doing a Zoom call before this and someone asked me, they said, what is your, how did you get to Christian music? And I was like, and why do you do Christian music? I was like, when someone touches your life in a profound way, you want to share that. Like when I fell in love with my wife or my kids, I immediately want to share the goodness and the life that they bring to me. The same as with Christian music. But to me, it's like, I wanted to talk about, I just wanted to, no matter where I went, I wanted to do music that would bring people faith. You know what I mean? That would grow faith. And so I actually started my journey in country music because Randy Travis, while I was on the show, said, hey, he literally pulled me aside. He was one of the mentors on the show. And he said, you need to do country music. He said, country music is missing the soul that you have. Mm-hmm. And I was like, not a bad idea because I wanted to reach the world, but yet I still wanted to keep my faith. Right. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And I thought it was God, but thank God that he's the one that ultimately decides where he wants us because the country music thing didn't work out. It just didn't work. And by God's grace, like I was just saying, God, did I miss it? I don't know if I missed it. Was it a test? I don't know. But I just wanted to be planted where God took me. And it was here. I love that even in our missteps, we don't have to have everything figured out. We can just move forward, keep loving God, allowing him to love us, and he'll guide us where we need to go.
Danny, you have a new song called Love God, Love People, which, by the way, I'm in love with the message. It comes from the Gospels, the 2 greatest commandments in the world. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
Why do you think the world complicates love God, love people so much? Because you say in your song, keep it real simple. We got to get down to ground zero. Why do you think it's so complicated to follow those 2 commands that God gives us?
Well, and that's what they are. They're commands, right? They are commands. I think how it gets convoluted is that we're like, okay, I'm going to do that. This is what I will do. I will love you, God, with all my heart. Anytime there's a command involved, this is the whole point of Jesus. anytime there's a command involved, and this is what the song talks about, I tell myself to keep this up. I got to do. It's basically like how we're always trying to do things. I got to follow this. I got to follow that. When we realize that we could never keep the commands, that's why Jesus came. And what God ended up showing us is that he loves us with all his heart, all his soul, all his mind, all his strength, because he poured out his wrath on his son. And so the ground zero part is getting back to it. We cannot love God, love our neighbor, love ourselves until we sit at his feet and allow him to love us first. And that's the missing ingredient. Anytime what did Israel keep doing in the Old Testament? Oh, we can do this. The commands are the things that actually trip them up. And when we see the gospel of grace that Paul preached, the gospel of grace, it was simply that he did it for us. So I think a lot of people, they try to do these commandments, but the ground zero is point, sit back at his feet. Let him love you. Then watch how you find that you love yourself. Watch how you find that you love your neighbor. Watch how you find that you love him. It's kind of a play on words. It is the greatest commandment, but if people aren't careful, they'll try to do it in their own strength. But the ground zero part is like, we don't love. And the only reason why we love is because he first loved us. We get that right. All those commandments are fulfilled through us because Christ in us. One of my favorite verses right now is, I've been crucified with Christ, but it's not I who live, but Christ who lives in me. A lot of people who see that verse like, oh yeah, I got to crucify myself daily. No, when he was on that cross, we were crucified with him. He said, I was crucified with Christ, not I'm daily being crucified with Christ. And he said, the life I live, I now live by, check this out, faith in the Son of God. Now, what is his faith in the Son of God? In the one who loved me and gave himself for me. Not faith in my own prayers, not faith in my own abilities, not faith in my obedience, but faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Meaning, faith works by love. When we understand how much God loves us, by faith in how he loved me and gave himself for me, that's when, because Christ, it's not me who lives, but Christ in me. I live by that. He lives in me. And boom, because of his love, I can love. Sorry, I really expounded on that one, but I've really been.
Don, give him a microphone so he can drop it.
Yeah, I was going to give you a high five.
Amen.
Wow.
Well, Danny, thanks for taking the time to be on the video with us. We really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, and you can go hang with the in-laws now and get off their porch.
Awesome. You guys, I appreciate you. Thanks for letting me talk with you.
Of course.
And it's always good to talk to people who we labor amongst, and I appreciate all your support, you guys.